The Sniper Ghost Warrior series has never been associated with high-quality gaming experiences. I mean, the previous two games must have sold well enough for the developers to greenlight a third, but production-wise they always seemed pretty budget, and they were awarded review scores that reflected this. For instance, we gave the first game a 2 out of 10, which is a pretty abysmal score, while its sequel managed to just scrape in with a 6. For Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, however, it seems that CI Games are pulling out all the stops in a bid to go toe-to-toe with the AAA bad boys, and maybe even replace the Sniper Elite games as the go-to series for sniping enthusiasts. So, with the help of Jess Lebow, the game's lead narrative designer, whom I met at this year's Gamescom, let's take a look at all the big gameplay differences and improvements that we'll be seeing in Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. First up, forget all the dull, mostly linear NPC following missions of the previous games. Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 boasts some true open world gameplay.
We're not a run and gun shooter, we're a unique shooter, we're a thinking man shooter, right? It's a very tactical experience. You know, it's about survival, it's about open world experience where you explore, where you figure out not only what your next move is, but also how you're going to get resources, how you're going to deploy them, and choose when you're going to make your move. We like to say we set up challenges and then give you tools to overcome them, give you things that are useful, but then you get to choose how you overcome those challenges. When you go to these like elite sniper training schools for special operations groups, one half is shooting, only one half, right? The other half is stealth. It's infiltration, it's exfiltration, it's understanding what your environment looks like, it's understanding what your resources are. And so we didn't feel like telling people in a linear fashion what to do supported that. Instead we say, this is what your target is, this is who you have to find. The game's never going to say, here's a big arrow, here's the guy you need to kill. Instead you're told, here's the guy, last known intelligence is here, and you're going to have to hack things. You're going to have to hack into their servers, you're going to have to track the guy, you're going to have to find these things. And we think doing that in an open world is a better experience.
Just like every good open world game, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 will have plenty of side quests to undertake, and in this case they're presented in a rather novel way.
We have what we call war crimes, which are sort of like side quests. No one gives these to you, you discover them. You can track people. So maybe you see that the door has been kicked in a building, and you go in and you realize that there's been some sort of conflict here. Maybe you find a child that's hiding in a cabinet, and then you talk to that child, and maybe he's been wounded, you patch him up, and he says, oh, my father was taken away, or you know, my mother was killed or something, and then you learn bits and pieces and you piece together a story, and if you help people or potentially hunt down other people, that can unlock new information, new equipment, various different things. And they're time sensitive, you know, not like timer based. There's not going to be a timer on the screen, but if you find somebody who's been captured or is wounded, you're tracking somebody who's bleeding out, if you don't get to them soon enough, they might be dead, and then that side quest, that war crime is over, you know. So you have to sort of pick and choose how you do it. We don't expect you to be able to play all the content in one go-through, right? We want you to have to make moral choices, but also content choices.
Due to the size of the levels, CI Games have also included vehicles for the first time in the series. Obviously they'll be used for getting from point A to point B, but will there also be instances of vehicular combat?
There's not at the moment. That could be some DLC. We've certainly talked about it. Mostly it's just movement. There are helicopters and jets in the world. You can't fly those, but you can drive the wheeled vehicles.
CI Games are aiming for maximum realism with their weaponry and ballistics, even though some of the guns in the game are fictional.
There are legal reasons we can't use names for certain guns or certain likenesses. They're trademarked or whatever. There are some that are real-world weapons that we can use the names and such, and those will be exact replicas. For other ones, they're realistic. These are not, these are not sci-fi weapons, right? And there are, they're based in reality. All the bullets as well, we talked about the DARPA bullet, right? They can actually change trajectory mid-flight. This really exists. It sounds like the future, but it really exists. So we're taking reality and realism very seriously. You don't see it in this demo, but you have to you have to adjust for gravity with your scope for drift, for the ballistics. You adjust for wind, you adjust for humidity, you adjust for air temperature, you adjust for several different things, and it's a pretty intricate sniping system. Our creative director is also an ex-Marine scout sniper, and so he brings a new level of realism for us, and so that's kind of where it comes from.
A brand new parkour-style movement system will allegedly give the player ultimate freedom in the open world.
We want you to have choice, so it's not like here's a path you can run down, here's a gate, you can't get over that, right? Oops, you're blocked. So it's open world, you can jump over things, you can rappel down things, you can climb up cliffs, you can climb up onto rooftops. We're not cheating, right? There's no buildings with no tops on them. You can fly your drone over the top and look down into it, you can climb up to the top of it. It's just, we're giving you the tools to enjoy the open world.
Sniper games not having a bullet cam would be like a Mortal Kombat game not having any gore. It's a neat gimmick that adds a lot to the sniping experience, so will we be seeing a return, and if so, what improvements will have been made?
The bullet cam is still going to be in there. We're working on that. We're actually working with a bullet cam specialist in Hollywood on that at the moment. I can't give you any more details than that. We're definitely working on that. We know it's important to the fans, and so we're going to include it in this game.
Huh, imagine being a bullet cam specialist. How is that even a job? Huh. Anyway, so far all signs point to Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 being a much more accomplished game than its predecessors. The dynamic world and the emphasis on freedom of movement should give players a huge amount of replayability compared to the linear games of old, but will it be enough to shake the stigma of the previous titles? We'll be able to find out once and for all when the game launches in June next year.
Coming up this week,
Ian soils his trousers with levels of fear,
and Johnny and I soil the good reputation of Super Mario by making some god-awful levels in Mario Maker.
except for that doesn't actually happen, we'll explain later.